What's up, sous chefs, and welcome back to the kitchen. Today, we are making one of my all-time favorite meals, lobster mac and cheese. Now, if you can't tell, lobster mac and cheese, or mac and cheese in general, is like one of my favorite food groups. Not only mine, but my beautiful boys. We eat mac and cheese probably more than we should, and it shows. But today, we're making a really delicious, kind of elevated, more adult-style mac and cheese. A creamy 6 cheese, that's right, 6 cheeses with our beautiful New England lobster meat that we literally just poached. If you missed the episode where we cleaned and poached this lobster, make sure you swing on back, check that out, because there's lots of cool tips and tricks on how to clean lobster meat in your house. The 6 cheeses that we're working with: cream cheese, Parmesan cheese, Munster or Gouda cheese in this case, Monterey Jack, Colby, white cheddar. That's 6 cheeses right here in the pot with our beautiful lobster meat. Let's get started first by making a lobster stock for our pasta. And I'm gonna take just the shells of our lobster tails that we cooked when we cooked our meat, and that's gonna go into our pasta water. And it's just gonna keep boiling, just create a little bit more flavor in that water that's gonna soak into that pasta when we cook it. First and foremost, you can't have a mac and cheese without the cheese. So let's get started prepping that. I'm just gonna take my box grater, big simple tool. I'm sure you already have one of these in your kitchen. Really simple to use. I'm just gonna use the large side, and we're gonna go ahead and grate all of this cheese down. First, the Gouda. This is gonna be for like, I just hit my finger. Phew! I just finished grating all of that cheese. Man, that is a lot of work to grate fresh cheese like that on that box grater, but I did it for one specific reason. Yeah, it would have been easier if I had went and bought pre-shredded cheese and just thrown it right in. But that pre-shredded cheese, you ever notice how it doesn't stick together to itself? Well, that's because it's coated with a lot of different flour type ingredients. And that flour, once you try to melt it, it's not gonna make as creamy of a sauce. It melts a little funny because of all of the flour and all of the coatings that they put on it, so that it doesn't stick together. So that's why I like to go ahead, go old school, use those muscles and grate that fresh cheese. And boy, are the results worth it. We've got our Gouda, we've got our Colby, we've got our Monterey Jack, and here is our white cheddar, mild white cheddar. We still have to hit the Parmesan up, and we still have to hit the cream cheese up, but that is coming later. So here is our 4 beautiful cheeses, and boy, I love cheese. Let's get started first on our pasta. So we've got our water here boiling away. We've got our lobster shells in there, creating kind of a pseudo lobster stock. We're gonna go ahead and salt this. As always, we're gonna salt our pasta water. We want those noodles to have some nice pop flavor. And I'm gonna use kind of a curly-Q, kind of a cavatelli pasta, or a calentani. I don't know how to say it. Calentani, my wife's Italian, I'm not Italian. I'm butchering it. Let's just call it a curly-Q for here. So I like to use this kind of pasta for a mac and cheese for a couple of different reasons. A, visually, really cool. Number 2, it's got these ridges on it that are gonna hold on to the cheesy sauce, as well as the curls also hold on to that really beautiful cheesy sauce. So that's where I like to use a pasta like that. You could use a rigatoni or a penne or just a standard elbow. Whatever you've got, it may be a shell, whatever you've got in the pantry will work. For me today, we're using this one. So the pasta, gonna go right here into the water to get started. Now into the main pot for our cheese sauce, all right? Using a high-sided brazier. You've seen me use it before. I really like this style of pan. To start off, we're gonna hit it with a little bit of butter, unsalted butter to start, and then we're gonna make a roux with our flour. So that's just gonna melt down, and then we'll make our roux. All right, guys, so we've got our butter melted down in the pot. Time to get things rolling. We're gonna take a little bit of all-purpose flour. It's gonna go in here to the pan. We're gonna make a little bit of a roux. The roux is what's gonna thicken up our cream sauce. So we've got our butter. We've got our all-purpose flour. We might need to add a little bit more. We're looking for kind of a wet sand, like a loose wet sand consistency. So we're gonna add a little bit here and there, whisk it down until we get to the consistency that I'm looking for. It's always easier to add than to take away. So work it slow, add it slowly until you get to where you're looking to go. Wet sand consistency. The roux is starting to cook down, and we're gonna cook that flour taste out of it. Let the butter, the flour cook together. Lots of really delicious flavors here. We're gonna grab a little bit of garlic. And you know how I live my life. I don't use fresh minced garlic if I can avoid it. I like to cook quick and efficiently, just like you probably do at home. So I'm gonna go ahead and use some pre-minced garlic. Don't tell anybody. All right, so pre-minced garlic going in here. And now we're gonna go in with our liquid. We've got a little bit of milk. That'll be our base, and a little bit of heavy cream. So about 2 cups of each, heavy cream and milk going in there right now. And now we're gonna stir this up. We wanna work all of those lumps, if there are any lumps from our roux, and really incorporate it right into our cream sauce. And this will be the base of our cheese sauce. So now this cream and milk mixed with the roux is gonna come to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, that's when the thickening starts to happen, right? The roux, the flour, the cream, it all starts to get really happy in this party pan, and it's gonna start to thicken up. And that's when we're gonna start to add the cheese. Cream has been working for another minute or two, starting to thicken up. Let's get some flavor working into that foundation. First, we're gonna start with just an all-purpose, kind of a house seasoning. You've seen me use it in the past. I like to use my own house seasoning. Nutmeg, this is a secret. A lot of delicious mac and cheese have nutmeg in them. So we're gonna add just a dash of nutmeg in there, and now some dried mustard. Another secret, shh, don't tell anybody. We're gonna add a pinch of this dried mustard in there, a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper just on the top. And you can see this is starting to boil really nice, and it's starting to get really thick really quickly, looking really delicious. I think it's time to start adding our cheese. I'm gonna turn the heat down just a touch, because we don't want it to scorch. This cream will scorch if you're not careful with the heat underneath. So in goes our cheese. First, let's start with our cream cheese. All right, the cream cheese is gonna go in. We're gonna kind of break that up, and that's gonna make it really creamy. It's also gonna help it from breaking. You ever had mac and cheese, homemade mac and cheese, where the cheese kind of separates and you kind of have that little oily consistency? The cream cheese is gonna help that. The other thing that's gonna help that is we're using predominantly white cheeses. White cheeses are gonna have a lot less oil in them, and they're gonna break down. So in goes our Gouda, our Monterey Jack, our Colby cheese, and now our white cheddar. And again, we can add more as we need to. It's easy to add, it's hard to take it away. If we make it too thick too quick, it might be a little difficult. So let's change up our utensils. Let's change up the tools in the toolbox. Let's go to more of a spatula and just start working that cheese in there. And you're gonna see it's gonna get really nice and thick really quick. This does not take a lot of time at all. So have everything ready to go when you're working, because it will not take long. This is gonna pair so well with that lobster. See, nice, long, thick sauce. Let's get a taste. ABT, always be tasting. Guys, it's what I'm looking for. Because we're not overcooking the cheese, because we use a lot of white cheese and that cream cheese, it's got a really smooth, velvety mouthfeel. Really what we're looking for here. Make sure that heat is not too high. We don't want it to overcook and burn on the bottom. We just need it to be melty and nice and creamy, and I think we are there. Check that out. Let's check our pasta, because I think we're close. We'll check in our pasta here in our lobster stock. Pull one of these out. These cavatappi pastas. Nice and al dente, not overcooked. We don't want a mushy pasta. We want it to still have a bite. And my old Italian family and friends would tell me that if you take the pasta and you throw it at the wall and it sticks, it's done. So here, catch. Huh? Are we ready? I think we're ready to go. All right, so we're gonna take our pasta over to the wall, over to the sink, set this down in. We're gonna lean our pasta pot out. Look at that. Check that out. Our pasta with the lobster shells right in the pot. Man, does that look good. Go ahead and I'll pull our shells out. There we go. So there's our pasta. We've got our cheese sauce right here. All right, here we go. The pasta's coming out. Give it one little shake. It's going right into our pot of cheese sauce. Right into the swimming pool of flavor there. Look at that. Going right in. Give this a toss. Now we might have a little bit of extra cheese sauce. That's okay. I like to make it nice and creamy, and you can adjust it as we're gonna plate it. It's better to have more sauce than less sauce, in my opinion, because you can adjust it as you go. So there's our sauce. Pasta looking good. In with our lobster. We've got our lobster here that we poached earlier. We're just gonna chop it up. Not a whole lot. We don't want it to be small pieces. We want big, succulent chunks of lobster. There we go. Look at these big chunks of lobster going right in. Fresh herbs. We're gonna take our parsley. Give it a mix. This is gonna be really good. All right, let's get ready to plate. I've got a really big bowl because I told you, me and my family, we love our mac and cheese. Here we go. Look at that. Lobster, mac and cheese. Let's garnish it up. So we know we've got our lobster. Let's give a little lobster tail here around the back side. What do you think? Super creamy, 6 cheese lobster mac right here. And I gotta tell you, I cannot wait to get in here and try it. And that's what I'm doing. I got me a big spoon today because I wanna go in deep. Here we go. Look at that cavatappi pasta, big, succulent, juicy, sweet chunks of lobster. I'm so excited. It's hot, but boy, is it so good, guys. Creamy, the blend of cheeses, that nutmeg, that seasoning, and then the sweet, juicy chunks of lobster. This is a lunch, a dinner, a snack made for anybody that loves real big, bold flavor. Guys, join us next time here in the kitchen where we share more delicious, simple coastal creations with you to make in your home kitchen. See you then.
Beach easy.